Welcome back to my channel. Today's message, I believe, is supposed to be on awareness, but I don't know how the angels are going to bring this through. I don't know if it's just going to be me speaking or if they're going to, one of them is going to want a channel. I have no clue about how they want to present this to you. Just that I am here with a message, and I believe it's about awareness. I listened to a mix of songs. Of course, I went to K-pop. I picked the first K-pop song video that they showed me. Listened to it, and then the next few after that in their whatever random mix I picked. So, so it looks like that we're talking about awareness. The first song, uh, it brought to me, at this point, it's brought to me other things before, but at this point, it was awareness of your surroundings, the things that surround you, a true type of awareness of your surroundings. Um, and then also the sense that people in this modern day have begun being attached to the drama, to the darkness, and instead of some of them, instead of uh, uplifting and going, what would cause the least amount of drama or trauma in my life, and how do I achieve that in my daily life and keep myself centered in that, they become attached to the drama and trauma of it all. So they become attached to this darkness, but we need to learn that yes, even though there's darkness out there and inside you, like with your internal lookings, whatever they may dredge up, feelings of anger, pain, wanting people to suffer because that person did something to you. And as you're moving through this, the point is moving through it and not dwelling on it, moving through it, you will be learning about like how you've dealt with things and whether or not it's been effective, and in changing that and you not making that same mistake. So now you are learning to look at things from a different perspective. As you're moving through this darkness, you're learning how to look at things from a different perspective. But the theme is I can show you. You say you want to dance, I can show you how to dance. And from this time, this line, I got that you've been saying you want to learn these things, and I know it. I found it to be true for me, or that you believe in these things and these things being possible, but you stand in your own way with doubts because you seek some sort of 3D sort of proof, and that keeps you stuck with proving the 3D. If you are taking on your five-dimensional self and moving through that darkness and shedding your light, then you will find everything goes differently. You start thinking of whatever difficult situation, say it be a traffic jam, or say it be a long line at your favorite Starbucks, or whatever it is, you'll find those as your friends instead of being angry because it stopped you in whatever plans that you'd had for the day. It put a limit on your time, that you limited your time, and you like map out your whole day. You could see how it's supposed to go, and that thing that stops it from going that way. You need to be able to be aware during those times. Look at the people around you. I have approached awareness most of my life. I didn't even realize I was preparing myself for that because it was just, for me, easier than dealing with trying to explain myself when I didn't really understand much of myself. My emotions being tied up in everyone else's emotions around me, since I was an empath, and the way I am as an empath. I feel the feelings as if they're my own. I don't necessarily know, especially when I'm 6 or in my formative years when I began closing myself off, except for with the people who knew me the best, uh, that like it was just my sense of not knowing like what emotions I was actually feeling. But I did spend a lot of time people watching since I was born into a crowd, and I had a huge family, and a lot of times being from poor family, I had to live with my grandparents, with my folks, of course, and there were a lot of people in there. 6 girls in my bedroom, and that wasn't all. There were 6 in the other room, and 2 in the last room, my grandparents. So there were a lot of people in the house, a lot of rowdiness, and it's how I learned to meditate in noise. So because I still had to learn the math, I still had to learn that social studies, even if I couldn't keep my cousins from screaming in my face. So so we're the next one is Horizon, and it's a Titan song. You would love it if you really like K-pop. Breakthrough. It made me think of breaking through to the archetypal self. Finding beauty in your shadow as well. When in the lyrics, it made me feel like he was also talking about finding in now some of the lyrics, unless I got the English on, I don't understand. But that is for me perfect because you don't have to if you're just listening for messages. So, but in this delve into the shadow self, you find this beauty, this beauty of the shadow self, and the reason it was designed. It's designed for you to work with. The shadow self is all of the places that you've put the traumas and all of the bad stuff you feel that maybe you don't want to project outwards. So you work with this shadow self in order to love yourself completely and in order to love others completely and understand from their perspective. You never know what they're going through. If you've walked or danced inside in some of the darkness of yourself, you may understand things from a different perspective because you know what it feels like to feel like every time you turn around it's another attack. So this song thought made me think of working with your shadow self, loving it, witnessing it, truly witnessing it, listening to it, understanding it, and then as a byproduct, setting it up as the witness self, and now it is its turn to witness you as your light shines. Shone your light upon. You've shown your light upon it. You've integrated what you've learned from it, and now it's time to show that in your authentic self. And now it's time for the shadow self to submit to being the witness, because in light of self-knowledge that shadow self has now become the witness, and now after witnessing it can witness you and allow your light to shine and give you foreknowledge of whether something might feel offish about something due to a similar situation, and you don't even have to remember the situation. You can allow that witness self to guide you in that. So the next one is Elevator, and I listen to these songs a lot, but I get different messages through these songs. This one, when I heard the word opening your heart, uh, it, it went along with the shadow self because you're opening your heart. You bring in your shadow self from somehow your shadow self gets from. For me, it's the gut center. It feels like I'm going downward into the ethers, and then you're bringing it up and you're skipping. A lot of people are skipping the step of bringing it through their heart. They're totally skipping that shadow self through the heart, which allows them to maybe project that shadow self onto another, and now the battle has become not with self but with someone else. But this song suggests that you open to that shadow self. You open your heart, not your mind. A lot of people think about the shadow self with the mind, but they don't actually do the deepward looking to help you integrate that shadow self, understand that shadow self, and have that shadow self not seek control. The shadow self really doesn't want control. It knows that your divine self is in control. It is there to be understood, and then in turn understand and help bring you balance and light of understanding through everything you're going through. Because even if you feel like at this moment your life is all a bed of roses and peaches and everything's been going right for you, you need to remember that it's not for everyone, so that you can have a true sense of compassion and not be totally detached from your brother's situation around you. Even if those people are not choosing their selves and their divine selves, all you can do is try to light the way. But remember to have compassion. Be nice to them. Being angry or upset that they're not as advanced or whatever as you is ridiculous. To me, I've always felt like everyone is right here. We're side by side, and we're never not. It's how we look at our situations that are different, and only that. And I feel bad having been stuck in the hate of self and the anger and the wanting revenge, or the upset nature of wanting things to suddenly seem fair. But the only way to get things fair for you is to live in your divine self. That is the life, the fair life that you have been allotted. So again, it needs your understanding and unconditional love, this shadow self, in order to understand the why me of some of the trauma that created it, that caused it. Uh, and there may be sometimes the answer is why not you. It's just that simple. Why would you wish that horrible feeling or thought onto someone else if you yourself can actually battle it and defeat it, or at the very least becomes friends with it and get it to stop messing with your life. And I think that this self, this shadow self, built up from its disconnection, its loneliness, its disconnection to its own divinity. I think that it's a wrong path to take God out of you and say that it's some being in the sky that will and can judge you harshly. Because then you start judging yourself harshly. And if you're doing that, you project that and start judging other people harshly to make yourself feel better. So that original trauma from separating from your own divinity and feeling like you were alone, that you were not worthy. It is what caused that shadow self, that feeling of loneliness, that safety for that child within, and that need for retribution, or the need to feel like life was fair. But you need to feel like his life is life. What you need to feel like is that you are in your divinity now, no matter what the outer circumstances of your situation and the world around you is. So there's surprising things can be achieved, the messages, between your mutual understanding, your shadow understanding the light, and the light understanding the shadow, and coming to the understanding that you're working together, not apart. You're here to shape this glorious life for this divine being who elected you as the being to shine its light through and learn these lessons through. So that is where I got to that. And the next one was Lemon Drop. And on it, there's this line, that Mingy says, focus on me. Now that's come into play a lot when I was going through my my past life stuff, the remembrances, so that I could get a grip on my anorexia, and learning a lot about myself, and then like in turn having to figure out how to get a grip on that fear element, the catastrophic sense that sometimes these chemicals flowing uh, through the brain, not the drain, flowing through the brain allows to access these negative thoughts, access to. And what I learned to do, and I have an angel that's in charge of turning the dial so that the thoughts can't get in. That's a fun one. You can go through creative ways of figuring out how to get your brain to reprogram your brain to stop really focusing on those negative things and focus on what your divine is telling you. And things like, you know, the noise, the negative energy that comes through sometimes because of the state of the world, and there's these things that you want to change with all your heart because you're a healer at heart, you know, you have to kind of not focus on that, no, the noise of the negative side of it, and send out your light. Help in the ways you know you can help. And then you have to live your happy, divine, light filled life. That is the only cure for the what ails the earth and people and the human race is living your divine light filled life. So, and it's also maybe speaking of night owl. I found that my rhythm, my biorhythm is more of a night kind of biorhythm, and I've had to. I feel more trauma when I'm actually trying to uh, fix it so I can have a day morning biorhythm. Uh, Emotionally, I feel more trauma if I can be up at dawn because that's what my spirit feels it needs. And this is not an old thing. I was this way in my 20s. This is, and it seems genetic. My mother was a night owl. My grandfather, until she got on medicine. My grandfather, her father, was a night owl, and I just think my biorhythms, like I'm more creative at night, and that silence when everything else is kind of asleep around outside. There's the voices you can listen to, the imaginings you can have, the creativity that can enter your system. There's just nothing else like it sometimes. So, but that's for me as a night owl. Some people like getting up at dawn, and I'm usually starting to wind down a little bit and getting ready to go to bed. But of course at dawn, I'm usually in bed by then because I still haven't gotten it to where, you know, because the kind of things I like to do at night aren't my job. So I like to do, I'd like for it to be, but since we haven't found a way for that, that's okay. I do enjoy working with the plants. At least they don't really demand a whole lot from me. So we do have some live plants, but mostly we deal with a lot of cut flowers. We have a few flowering plants and a few. We probably are the best around this area florist, though. Even though none of us are really florists, they would have to pay too much. So, time of night great for creative thinking, and it's a great time for the ultimate talk with the self, an intimate talk with the self, where you can just feel like at night you feel like you can say some of the things that you only whisper during the day. Talk about some of the things that really deep inside of you want to either change or you want to embrace. Um, so I pay attention to strong feelings, any strong feelings at this time, and anything that seems to be out of the ordinary that catches your eye. Also pay attention to that because they may actually be messages. You may find yourself because of that bizarre thing, thinking about something you hadn't thought about, and that might lead you to somewhere that you're intending to go, but through a path that you didn't know existed. And again, wait on me. You go that one again. But the message I was getting is that you've been through a lot to get here. But that's not been unnoticed. It's taken a long time. You've taken a long process of going into yourself and going, when is this ever going to end? When am I going to see the actual, okay, I've transformed? But you just have to know that going through all of it, you've been transforming every single day. From the day you were born till the day you die. That's what you do. Your skin cells renew themselves daily. Things, there are things in you that renew itself daily. You know. So just know that you are renewing yourself and transforming daily. But it's not going to notice everything that you've gone through every time that you've looked inside to find out what the enemy to your progress is. And it's this focus on what makes you feel lighthearted, young. The wait is over. The wait, it's over. Once you decide that it's time to step into that 5D self and just know that you're here to enjoy your life, and you may have to change your perspective. Say, if you found that it's like, well, it doesn't behoove me to change my job right now and find another of these type of jobs. I will wait until I hear of something that seems more down my alley, something I hadn't heard of before, that uses my talents in a way I've never experienced. And I will change I'll change my perspective, and I'll change my perspective on the job that I had. Well, for me, I had to change the job within the company. I worked for a grocery store as King Soopers, as a Kroger. But that's neither here nor there. I had to move from the Starbucks in it because of my condition. I used to thrive in that little bit of a busy atmosphere, but I was stuck in a small space, the small kiosk with 3 or 4 employees, and and by yourself it was impossible. But if you had one other employee, well, it seemed like either it felt awkward because you got with someone that you felt like didn't want to talk, or you were with somebody who talked all the time and it felt like it was hard to find a little bit of a space alone to breathe, and nobody's fault. It's just a situation, the kiosk being so closed in. They had to go off to do something else for you to be alone. But then it could get busy, and then, it's too much to do. So I was like, I'm just getting way too overstimulated. It's activating the catastrophic sense. I'm feeling attacked by this job now. So it's like I went to my boss and I said, I really don't want to be feeling this way about my work. I actually like the customers here. They are the best. This one's in Boulder, Colorado, and it's downtown in South Boulder, and it's beautiful, beautiful. The clientele are just the best I've ever come across. Don't get me wrong, there are some that make some trouble, but it's not frequent. So the atmosphere is a little more laid back. It feels more family oriented and family like with a lot of the employees and everything. So I really enjoy that aspect of it, but it's still not a total proper fit. But at least I can take my 5D person there and work on the flowers. There still is a lot of stimulation, and sometimes not of the good type, just because you're having, if you're an empath like me, you're feeling everything that's going on. So in order to stay in the 5D, I found my nose in the flowers sometimes is the best method, so anyway, so that was that part of the message. And now I'm going to do something different. I've been working with this divine method since 2004. for a long time. So I've been using this divining method for a long time. So let me see. What do you have to say to me today, Runes? Well, or for the collective, I know what you said to me earlier for my own personal. Let's see what the collective has to hear. Ooh, there's been a lot of miscommunications. And I don't mean necessarily with what you're finding out from your spiritual self. But in this time, especially we may have just finished retrograde. There are a lot of miscommunications. I think that, from what I can tell, for some people, there's like a battle between the collective and not the collective. But I believe like we are all part of the collective. You don't actually get to choose whether you're part of a collective or not. There are some of us in different frequencies, but we're all one. I mean, specifically that we are all one. But our thought patterns are different, and there are people who are stuck in this cycle of miscommunication. Maybe the miscommunication in part is because you haven't taught yourself awareness of your surroundings. For some, it's your fault. You didn't have the distractions early enough when you, for someone my age, it would probably be mostly my fault. I did not have a lot of television when I was growing up. By my teens, I got it, but you know, I spent a lot of time outdoors. I did a lot of that. But part of the reason I didn't have television is we were just broke kids. And when we moved with my grandparents, that's when I regularly started getting television, and then my father tried to keep up with that after we moved out. But that was when I was 10. We lived basically from 10 to 12 with my father's parents. We weren't the only cousins living there. I mean, of their children living there. My aunt and uncle lived there at the same time. And they had a boy and 6 of his girls, a boy and 4 girls. So there were a lot of us there. Let's just say that. 6 kids in one, 2 kids in another with the parents, the boys, and then the grandparents. It was a noisy, crazy, chaotic, loving, and sometimes traumatic place, you know. But because, you know, with family, there does come some drama. And when you have a big family like mine, that was just one of my father's siblings, and there was my mother's other siblings, but mostly, you know, I didn't hear about a lot of drama. My mom and my mom's siblings, I think there might have been some, but my father's siblings, there was quite a bit sometimes of drama. Dramatic household, but we love each other fiercely. So anyway, and there was a lot of miscommunications then. And sometimes the miscommunications were based on emotion. You didn't feel like they were understanding you. They didn't feel like you were understanding them. And you were both actually not listening. You were too busy feeling what you were feeling. And you both were not listening. And I found that happening with me. So, again, that goes with the topic awareness. The topic of awareness, being aware. I was able to see a lot of that happen, and so I try to avoid that kind of drama. I try to communicate myself best I can, and if someone doesn't seem to want to understand me, well, eventually I end up having to just move on from that person, no matter who they are. So let's see what. Is there anybody that wants to channel? All me? Okay. But butt in if you want. Alright, so we know that the topic is awareness. Let's see what's the first card. That's the one. So, the first card we got today is the wheel. The wheel. So, okay, what does... Okay, so people have been going through this and who have truly sought to understand the enemy within, to not put it all without, because really, in order to get to the position of your divine self, it's not a challenge so much of just outward circumstances. It's also a challenge of inward circumstances. What are you doing or not doing? How do you actually feel? Are you putting the doubt there? Are you saying, yeah, but it seems so far fetched. It can't possibly be. And not why. If it's authentically you, why can it possibly be? So, Wheel of Fortune is a time of positive change. A situation suddenly moves forward. So, something you've been seeking for, if you step out of your own way and you accept your divine right to be happy and have your life circumstance be what you want it to be, it's just that your situation is suddenly going to move forward in your life, and that fortune in this situation is on your side. It's a very fortunate thing, because sometimes when you get what appears to be a gift on the surface, there's a lot of complications underneath. But do indeed know that fortune is on your side for a situation that is suddenly moving forward. Right. Okay. Let's see what else. What next? What do you have for us? We have the Page of Air. Page of Air. Let me put these over here. That is logical, impulsive, curious. So, what we've been dealing with, the challenges we've been dealing with lately, they have been like challenging information. Maybe you get, like, when you delve into inner work, sometimes you're challenging the way you see things, because you might get a bit of information from your divine self that you're like, wait, why are you saying that? And then you have to look more fully why they would, it would tell you that. But sometimes, it's challenging information that challenges your very paradigm. It challenges your very paradigm. It makes you feel insecure inside. It makes that child want to throw a tantrum or go and hide. Especially when they're challenges that have been due to delays and changing of plans, that maybe you feel like you've constantly had to delay or change your plans. And that is just sometimes part of it, part of receiving the proper flow, getting in the proper place, like emotionally, um, energetically, keeping yourself grounded on your 5D reality. What is it that your angel most wants to do in this reality? We've come here to play. Sure, some of the lessons come from the tough things that go on in your life. Sorry if this shirt has gotten up on my mic and made a rubbing sound. Um, well, I mean, I could have tried to delay this. I maybe think part of the reason that I put off trying to do this kind of thing, the channeling the angels, and well, obviously my mirror stays dirty because of my cats, and it also distorts the reality a little bit. It looks like I have a door behind me. The door is actually across from me. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. This is a beautiful house. But there are challenges with it, right? Huh. Somebody might have been delivering truths to you recently without any tact. Now, my angels will do that with me now. I'm not so tender. We're friends. So they may say something a little tactlessly, along the lines of the way George Carlin might speak. Love that dear departed angel. Um, he just, his sense of humor, his wry sense of humor. It's just, for me, it's something else, and I can't help but laugh at his jokes. But I know a lot of the situations that he is, the approaches and why. George Carlin grew up in a different day and age, and things have not seemed to get better. If you look on the outward side, sometimes it doesn't seem to have gotten better, but I would say it has. There's more equality, even though sometimes it feels like they're fighting to keep that from being a thing. Um, you just have to keep making your voice heard. But this house, that's what I was talking about. Sorry. Thank you, angels. This house is got lots of mirrors. When we bought our apartment, when we rented it online from Georgia, it's to make it look, the space, so much more space. It has a good bit of space. For 5 cats, it doesn't seem that much, but it does have a good bit of space. But it's to make the space seem more open, because we have a living room, dining room type hall kind of combo, and then we have our kitchen, and then 2 bedrooms. One of them is our studio. Cecil was teaching in there, and now we put a lot of recording stuff in there. And then the other one's our bedroom, and then we have a bathroom. But that it's small, but it's big. It's big for what we were used to. But it is small with 5 cats. That's where the smallness comes in. So you might find that you feel like that either you or someone around you is been delivering truth without tact. Now, for me, it's important to try to be tactful, even if you want to be honest, because you don't really want to hurt these people's feelings. I mean, it's, you just, especially if they keep coming to you with something, you try to be honest and tactful, at the same time. Sometimes, though, it is a fine line to walk, honest and tactful. Okay, so anyway, let's see. But I would say, if you can't find any other way, honesty without tact is still the proper way. So let's see. Honesty is a must. You'll never really understand yourself if you're not honest with yourself, and people won't understand you if you're not honest with them. Let's see. Abundance. But if you can overcome this and being upset about delays or changes to plans, and you can do this with your 5D self. Breathe slowly, Angela. Then you you overcome either your personal affront to having something delivered without tact, or if you can overcome your ability to or get an ability to deliver some things with tact, it might be better. But do tell the truth. So it will lead to abundance, things looking very good. But you're still supposed to have patience and make long-term plans. So I know everybody hears a lot about having patience. How do you have patience if you don't have patience? My people used to say, "Dear Lord, please grant me patience, but hurry up." Um, how do you get patience if you don't have patience? You get it by living in the 5D, the actual time you have, the now. Tomorrow will bring itself pretty damn fast, and you might regret that. Live in the now, this friggin' now. So, what else may this reading have to say? The awareness, that too. You can learn things from watching other people. As a shy person, I think I've avoided some drama by seeing what not to do sometimes in a big family like mine. Taking a second to breathe in and out, it'd be good for everyone too. Remembering to allow yourself to breathe fully. Take in that life-giving air. The trees make it for a reason. So 2 of air. So we've been caught in this, as a collective, I think in the universe, like the universal mind of the earth, Gaia's consciousness, whatever you would like to call it. They've been unwilling or able to make a decision. What do you want the earth to be like? And some people are caught in this too. They may find themselves thinking of themselves as open-minded, and that's what they want. They want a world that's open-minded to them. But then in some other category that doesn't even have to do with them, they close themselves off completely. And in doing so, they judge this person as unworthy. And it makes the stalemate that it feels like that it stalls everything. Because there's no reason to judge something that doesn't really affect you. And people tend to do that. You judge people's situations that aren't really affecting you, and then you make snap decisions on who or what they are and what is good and bad. And this awareness, you need to be aware that you don't have every perspective. You haven't lived every life. You may not be drawn to every type of thing. So, don't get yourself in a stalemate with somebody. Either agree to disagree, and if you can't really work or be around them, just don't. Yeah, because we've been for a long time as a collective, human beings, have been pretending there's not a problem. But there is. Or there wouldn't be war and unrest. There is a problem, but the problem isn't just how we miscommunicate with each other. It's how we communicate and miscommunicate with ourselves and our idea of what power really is. Power isn't a thing that is external to you. So money, it may get you the trappings of what society calls power, but that's not power. It's an energetic exchange, true, so you can use it in some very powerful ways, but it's not power. And neither is fame. That's not power. You can use it in some powerful ways, but you can also abuse it in some very powerful ways. But it's not true power. Each person has their own personal power. And for someone to actually have the personal power over you have to give that to them. It's not theirs. They can't really take it. You have to give it. And I don't mean they can enslave, they can do horrible things. I mean, in order to have power over your divine self, you would have to give that to them. So let's see. So this is what it was saying. Illusion. Illusion is its only power. We've gotten that a good bit lately. Illusion is its only power. This negative, this anger, illusion, this sense of separation. Well, fear. The illusion is its only power. It has none outside of what it can make you feel by the illusion that you are limited. So don't let the limited self rule. Let the limited self learn. That shadow self can learn and grow. And you will grow as a whole. So let's go. Let's go. What's the next thing? But remember, your blessings are coming. It's not too long now. That patience for long-term plans, the ones that you have made so far, those will be coming into fruition. Not long now. But if you've got even more long-term goals, don't be afraid to make them right now. Because it is not long now. Let's get one more card, and then maybe we'll wrap up this thing. Okay. With the power of a star, pick up your guitar. Now this means your divine self. With the power of your divine self, do the creating of your life. I don't really care what kind of life you create. You might find a zen in putting together an engine, a motor. You might find your zen in playing soccer for a living. You might find your zen in some high mathematic that I wouldn't even begin to understand now because I haven't had whatever in between there is. But whatever it is that you feel creative in, then you can make those goals and do those things. Those things. Find it. Find that zen. And do it with the power of the divine person that you are. Do it with the power of your true self. That authentic self that wants to be seen and heard. Because for me, it's useless to be seen and heard if it's not the real you. I mean, unless you're an actor. But it's really useless to try to be seen and heard if you're not putting out the real you. It makes no sense to me. And maybe that's why it took so long and wanted to hide behind a mask or whatever at first. But this is the true you that's wanted. And that's what I want to say. We love you, emissaries, and this happened to not be a channel. Well, there was a channeling session. That first bit of it had been channeled when I was listening to music by the angels in general, but it wasn't in particular a channeling. Well, I was channeling me, my whole self. Well, anyway, I'm such a silly, but I love being silly. So, anyway, I love you, emissaries, and I hope you enjoyed this message. And yes, I know there will be people who don't like the longer things. They can stop whenever they want. They can start whenever they want, or just move on. Love you guys. If you stayed this long, you're a champ. See you next time. Bye. Love you guys. Bye, emissaries.